We call it
Expedition Truth.
and we know you're going to love it. You ready now?
Somewhere, among the many competing voices in the world, truth is just waiting to be discovered. So sit back, open your mind to a world beyond your imagination. A world where truth never fears questions. Welcome to Expedition Truth with your host, Jack Ashcraft.
And I am broadcasting from a hollow somewhere in the land where the grass is blue. And welcome to the program. I'm glad you've tuned in again tonight. Hopefully you've had a decent week so far on this Friday Eve. No serious hitches other than the usual bad news we get from the world of politics, which I'm sure we're all sick of. And this hour here is going to be an oasis for you to escape that a bit. So we encourage you to sit back with your favorite beverage and relax. Maybe put the headphones on, decompress, and join us as we begin our next expedition. My subject tonight is a little bit different. Most of us, of course, are familiar with art, painting, that sort of thing. But if we hear the words intuitive art, well, that's a little different. That doesn't sound quite familiar. And that's probably because it is really connected to what could perhaps be called New Age or New Thought or alternative spiritual practices. And so my guest tonight is someone who was raised in a small town in northern Indiana, not far from me, actually, and was once living the American dream. She was married and working a 9-to-5 corporate job until she slowly realized that she felt unfulfilled. She dismantled her old life to make space for a new one. She chose to combine her passions for art, spirituality, self-healing, and self-empowerment, and is now a self-employed artist and Twitch live streamer who is creating intuitive artwork with a positive message for her fans, herself, and the collective. My guest tonight is Lady Luna Star. Luna, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Jack, for having me. I am beyond excited to be here.
Well, I'm happy that you joined us. This should be an interesting discussion. What I want to start with is getting a little idea about your background here. Let's start with, because this is going to be more than anything a spiritual discussion. Let's talk about your spiritual background. Did you have any particular spiritual upbringing at all?
My background would have been, I would have been brought up in a traditional Christian household. I will say, though, my mother in specific has always been a very particular light in my life. She has always kind of geared me to trust in myself above everything else. And so that philosophy I've taken with me my entire life growing up and into the future, obviously. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until I got a little bit older when I started to switch myself into a more self-empowering story. I tended to feel that traditional religions kind of limited my idea and perspective of what the divine was. I do feel like most religions have an accurate idea of what the divine is, but I tend to think that it's more than just one particular ring. So for me, it's felt more natural to accept kind of a divine universal love into my life rather than, box it into a particular segment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now you said that you sort of felt that they had a limited view of the divine or God, if you prefer. Mm-hmm. Was there something specific that you can point to that triggered your rejection of the traditional Christian background that you had been raised in?
It's not necessarily rejecting it. I don't see it as I'm rejecting that part of me. I see it as more of expanding out beyond that.
Mhm.
Like I said, I'm somebody who doesn't like to be put in a box. So
Mhm.
I would imagine that a infinite divine, creator would feel the same way. So it definitely isn't a rejection. It's more of an expansion.
Mhm. So
Hmm.
was there any particular, some people have this, what they call a crisis moment
Uh,
where, they begin to question those things. Did you have that or?
I mean, the only thing that really made me question would be, um, I guess sometimes when you have questions, like you go to church and you have a question for like your pastors or your youth pastors, and
Mhm.
some of the questions they're not sure how to answer it, or the answer is, oh, it's just blind faith kind of thing.
Mm.
That kind of always made me wonder a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, and I've always kind of been more focused on, okay, well, if I am part of the divine, then why don't I trust myself more? So, the lack of, again, being able to expand with questions and perspectives was the most difficult thing for me.
Okay. So now, did this happen before your marriage or during your marriage that you started to feel this change?
It was actually during my marriage.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And you say that you were living the American dream, and that you slowly began to sense a lack of fulfillment there.
Hmm.
What was it that you felt was missing?
I just felt like I could be doing more with my life other than, showing up to a job and, fulfilling a certain role in a household.
Hmm.
And, I just felt like there was more that I could be doing. I'd always wanted to have painting in my life. I always wanted to be more of a creative person and a creative soul and kind of mesh that into my lifestyle. Um, Before then, I had kind of dropped my creativity, for I guess, cookie cutter life, if you could say that,
Hmm.
just for simplicity's sake, not to degrade it and all. Um, but that definitely would have been it, was just to the need and the desire to build a lifestyle that's actually going to work and implement all facets of who I am, and that includes my creativity.
Hmm. And I'm guessing you had been an artist before you were married.
Yes, I've been doing art for a long time. Yeah.
Okay. I've seen your artwork, and it's definitely very pretty stuff. There's some really nice paintings there. You work with mostly watercolors, right?
Thank you very much for your compliment. Yeah, I mostly work with watercolor and acrylic.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So let's get into this term intuitive art.
Mhm, I know.
uh, how do you define intuitive art?
In short, I call it art from the heart.
Okay.
So it's mostly about having fun, enjoying just the process of painting. Um, I often explain it as being painting without expectation.
Hmm.
So a lot of my artwork is not planned out. Um, like I don't have references. It's just strictly from the imagination. Um, any ideas that come up are spur of the moment ideas. Sparks of inspiration come through, and I pick them up and run with them. It's very fluid, very free form.
Hmm. Hmm. And to what extent does your current um, your current spiritual understanding influence the art that you produce, or does it influence it?
I feel like they go hand in hand. Um, I didn't know this, but it's actually through my natural, creative, free flowing painting that I started to actually open up more spiritually. They kind of definitely went hand in hand.
Mhm.
So I feel like they are always cycling in and out of each other. So as my spiritual perspectives grow, my artwork changes, and as my artwork changes, my perspectives grow, and they kind of rotate into each other in a very natural way.
In what way has your art changed, like from the beginning of your journey, and changing into what you have now? What's that look like?
Well, it's definitely becoming more. It was very, I guess, still wrapped up in the physical. So I would get inspiration that was physically, like, kind of interpreted on a physical plane. So I would get an inspiration of, oh, let's paint a crystal or let's paint a tree. The inspiration was more concrete, um, tangible kind of inspiration that you would be able to understand very easily. As time progressed, things have become a little more fluid and a little more abstract. In fact, so I went from painting crystals, trees, other worlds, certain spiritual emblems. I went from that to my current piece, which is a energy field. Someone had commissioned me to paint my interpretation of their energy field or their aura. So we have switched totally from more of a physical representation in the art to, a more energetic representation.
So now this is, again, I've got listeners that I know that are asking, number one, how do you know an aura exists?
Yeah.
And number two, even if it does, how do you know what it looks like that you could, paint it?
Yeah, so there is a lot. When I have specifically a commissioned piece, I do a meditation, a few meditations before even starting a painting. During the meditation, energies and images will come to me, and I use those images as representation to transfer onto the canvas then. I simply trust what comes to me during that time.
Okay. And is it, now, being just critically thinking here now?
Yes, I know.
Is it possible that what you receive in a meditation is either imagination or if we're even if we assume you're definitely tapping into something that is beyond the physical, how do we know what you're tapping into is being truthful with you? You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand. Yes, I do understand. I think of it this way. Our imagination, I feel on my own personal experience, right? This is my mindset. I feel like our intuition is very closely tied to our imagination. It's our natural gift. So I feel like we should be trusting that more. So I feel like for me, that is an accurate representation because it's the most natural gift that we have.
So, I want to hit on this the question of where the information will be coming from. Is there a criteria by which you would judge? I mean, do you believe that there are negative spiritual forces and entities out there?
Me, myself, specifically, I have not ever experienced anything like that. I have maybe caught glimpses of things that could be interpreted that way. But after further examination, I have found that to be just my own fear being projected on that instead of that instance actually creating fear or being fear itself.
So, but do you have a criteria? Is there some objective criteria by which you can judge? Okay, this is not a positive spiritual experience or a positive interaction with the spirit world, as opposed to, okay, this one is good. Is there an objective criteria, or does it just come down to a feeling or impression you get?
It's mostly feeling and impressions. The only way I guess I could explain a more concrete way that I know it's from somewhere else other than me, I feel for and look for tension within the meditation.
Mhm.
So a lot of the time, if I need to quote unquote test
Mhm.
what I'm experiencing, which I do often, I will see if I can change it. Because if it's my imagination, I'm in control, then I can alter what imagery and what kind of feelings are happening, right? Every now and then, though, if I'm doing that, there'll be resistance to the changes that I'm trying to make. So that's how I know, okay, this information is coming from elsewhere because of that resistance to the change. So it's not something that can be directly manipulated by me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And how often do you encounter um, those what you perceive as negative interactions? How many? I mean, is it frequent or is it rare? Or?
For me, it's really rare. It's really rare, honestly. And like I've said, even the instances I have experienced that could have qualified as that, after closer examination, after pausing and breathing, I found that that fear was me projecting onto my experience instead of it actually being created of that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Now, some of your paintings are, as you said, they're very natural. There are trees and butterflies and some, flowers. Some beautiful work there.
Hmm.
Um, and you have at least one, I think, that I saw that is a mandala.
Yes.
And and I guess I could sit here and give um, an academic examination of what a mandala is in Buddhism or Hinduism. But what is a mandala? What does that symbolize for you? Because you're saying this is intuitive for you, so it's a personal thing. So I want your
Yeah.
personal impression of what that means.
Yeah. So for me, the reason why I use mandalas in my artwork is because it reminds me of sacred geometry, as well as divine timing and orchestration.
Hmm.
So it kind of carries that flow of uh, infinite possibilities, right? I
Hmm.
often think that the way that I view and understand the universe is kind of sacred mathematics, where if the universe is actually running off of a mathematic equation, um, free will would be one of the best variables to include in that equation. So it has kind of a memory for me or a remembrance of kind of just to go with the flow and let things be. Because
Hmm.
you're always in charge. Again, that's an empowering message, right?
Hmm.
If everything is already orchestrated, but you're in control through your own free will, how much more empowering is that
Hmm.
as a co-creator, right?
Okay, yeah, I think there's something to be said for um, that belief. If you look at quantum physics, I think it's pretty clear that our thoughts and actions do impact the what quantum physics refers to as a field that interconnects all people in existence, all things in existence. So,
Yeah.
I would agree that there is something to that. So, um, as a theologian, I wouldn't naysay that idea as out of hand. As a matter of fact, I've written otherwise on it. Um,
Hmm.
and, uh, and I think, it goes back to what you were saying earlier, is that, when you had questions about um, spiritual life, God, whatever they were, and
Yeah.
you went to the church, they didn't have ready answers. They just told you it was blind faith. And I think you would agree with me, faith should not be blind. It should be informed.
Yes.
Um, and I say that as a Christian.
Yeah.
I believe it should be informed. It shouldn't be blind. If it's blind, it's not really faith. It's dubiousness. It's stupidity, um,
Yeah.
and it's dangerous.
And it's not empowering either. It's not empowering to the individual to do their own research and find the answer that makes most sense for themselves either. So
No, and I would agree that we were created with the faculties of reason, logic, intellect, in order to seek out answers.
Yeah.
And I think the church has failed miserably in encouraging people to do so, or even in doing so, their ministers doing so. And I know this from experience. I can tell you that most Christians I know, and I know a lot of them,
yeah,
could not tell you what they believe, why they believe it, and defend those beliefs. Most of them, they really don't know. And so, I can understand why you would have walked away. It's, I think I would too. I'm fortunate. I've encountered a lot of very philosophically oriented theologians who have just pointed me in the right direction. They've not handed me pat answers.
right.
They've shared their experiences with me and then pointed me in the direction to, hey, go here, look for yourself. Go over there, look for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the beautiful way to do it, actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you harbor any sort of resentment toward toward the church that didn't give you answers, or toward the Christians who might have been, I don't know, dismissive of your questions, your search?
Oh no, I don't have room for that.
That's good. That's good.
No, absolutely not. No.
That's good.
No.
Okay. I'm going to be taking a break here in a minute, but before I do, I want to remind my listeners that this show is listener supported. We survive on your generosity, basically. And so I'm asking that if you can afford to please prayerfully consider donating to this program to keep us on the air. You can do so here at the KCORradio.com website by clicking on that little link there to make a donation to the station, and just mark that donation for Expedition Truth, and they will make sure it gets credited to us. Or if you want to be a long-term supporter of the program and consider donating each month, you can start for as little as $1 a month and go up from there, whatever you can afford or feel like you should be you're led to give. You can go to our website, paleoorthodoxy.org, and there on the radio link, you will find a link to our Patreon. And you can choose the level you want to support us at. And if you can't afford to give financially, we understand things are tight. We ask you for your prayers as well. That is just as important as dollars. So we'll be right back with more from Lady Luna Star.
Listening to Expedition Truth with Jack Ashcraft.
It's just good, clean fun.
Intelligent talk for the discerning mind. Share your thoughts of the show by calling 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Find us worldwide on Skype at KCOR Radio, or jump into our live chat room at www.kcorradio.com.
Now the world will begin hearing us.
Truth than humanly possible after these brief words from our sponsors.
Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, come discover the universal core to all your issues by tapping into the unseen world, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. From the metaphysical, simultaneous realities, alchemy, as well as the ascension process, the hosts of the unseen world will take you on a roller coaster ride through the metaphysical matrix. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. The Unseen World, live Tuesdays 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Come awaken to an endless world of possibilities.
Alien Deceptions, a suspenseful sci-fi romance thriller by Tina Marie. featuring the tantalizing Erica Jones and the mysterious Russell Hamilton. An out-of-this-world book of fiction based on years of document facts and files the government does not want you to know about. At least, not yet. Alien Deceptions by Tina Marie. Available now at Amazon.com or get a signed copy at TinaMarieEntertainment.com. Get your copy now.
Every year around the world, thousands of golden retrievers are abused, abandoned, and neglected, and they need your help. Goldens Without Borders is a 501c3 not-for-profit company located in the heart of southern Nevada. They focus on golden retrievers in countries where neglect and mistreatment is of the worst imaginable. Even the smallest donations go a long way to saving a life and helping put these beautiful dogs into loving, forever homes. Come be a part of a network of people working hard to make the world a safer and more humane place for all living creatures. To make a donation, or if you're interested in adopting or fostering, please visit goldenswithoutborders.org. Goldens Without Borders, help make a difference today.
They say that the truth is stranger than fiction. What if they are one and the same?
It's a life form, unlike anything we know, not cellular but electrical in nature, extremely intelligent.
Join Dave Emmons, host of The Strange Truth, every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, as he connects the dots that others miss. The Strange Truth is a groundbreaking 2-hour talk show that interviews the hottest UFO experts, experiencers, whistleblowers, and spiritual masters from around the world.
A tool for people to connect with the universe and begin to understand it.
The Strange Truth.
It digs deep into current events, the extraterrestrial contact phenomenon, explores suppressed history, and dissects false flag conspiracy, all while expanding your spiritual ascendance.
What was that name again?
The Strange Truth, hosted by Dave Emmons, live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Come get tomorrow's news today.
Welcome back to Expedition Truth. Expedition Truth.
This place is incredible.
Intelligent talk for the discerning mind. To be on the show live, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230.
What are you waiting for?
Worldwide callers, use Skype name KCOR Radio. Share your thoughts of the show on Twitter at KCOR Radio using hashtag KCOR. Even better, join like-minded individuals in our live chat room at KCORradio.com. Now, back to Expedition Truth with Jack Ashcraft, where the truth never fears questions.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, we are talking to Lady Luna Star. She's an intuitive artist and Twitch streamer. And Luna, before we get back into our conversation, we've got some questions from the chat room for you. And I want to go through these in the order that I received them. Jen asks, are there more common aura colors that you see, or do they vary depending on what the person is going through at the time?
That's a great question. So I do want to reiterate, I don't actually physically see people's auras. So it's not like I'm going to go to the grocery store and, see, my cashier's aura or anything like that. So I do want to clarify that first. I do honestly believe, though, that because energy and auras and all this information and ideas and concepts, the way I understand it, it is always moving and always changing, just like our world. So I do 100% believe that each person's aura is going to be different from somebody else's aura. And I also believe that, yes, Jen, depending on the person and what they're going through at the time, that is going to have an effect on how it appears and how it's interpreted.
And for my Christian friends out there, I don't think that the concept of an aura is necessarily a problem for Christianity. If we understand that the heart operates on electrical impulses, the brain is filled with electrical impulses, the idea of an aura, which is given off by electrical impulses usually, is not out of the question. So I think it's a knee-jerk reaction on the part of Christians to reject the idea out of hand. I'm not saying that I can 100% say there is an aura. I'm just saying that the idea is not something that we can just reject out of hand. The next question comes from someone named Creed. He asks, or she asks, does Luna think there should be a party for the world? I don't know. Maybe you understand that question, Luna. I don't.
I definitely think there should be a party for the world. That's, I think we're having it now. Our own separate little parties.
Okay. And Brenda contacted us on Skype. And she says, with this whole COVID thing, it has tested many who are spiritual. Have you struggled with staying positive in a world gone mad? Good question.
That is an actually great question. Me, myself, I haven't struggled too much. I've actually been pretty fortunate with my circumstance. I've been very fortunate to be surviving, even with the pandemic, financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. I've been in a really good place. However, I will say there is times, though, when I think we all struggle. But I tend to, because of like my meditation practices and my self-care practices, whatever struggle does come up does not stay for very long because I refuse to hang on to it. So I did want to clarify that too.
Mm-hmm. What sort of meditation practices do you engage in?
Most of the time, I like to do freeform meditation, where I'm just breathing and I guess letting my breath flow through my body. So I would call it a breath work meditation. Mm-hmm. That's probably my favorite because that tends to really mellow out my energy, my emotional energy, my mental energy, just really puts me in a nice, good centered place. That's probably my favorite kind.
Mm-hmm. So sort of mindful meditation practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really subscribe to the idea that you shouldn't be thinking during meditation because again, I'm an intuitive painter, so I actually love imagination. So if my imagination wants to go run wild for a minute, I definitely don't mind. But it's really just about breathing, getting yourself in a good state, finding that nice calming relaxation and really, really being in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, I encountered you through a Twitch stream, as you know.
Yes.
I say that for my listeners' benefits. And your Twitch stream is a bit of a mixture. We know you do the intuitive art, but you also do different types of card readings, correct?
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the thing that I noticed that was striking about yours, and I'm not going to get into the specifics of this, but 2 occasions you came up with information about me that was specific. First of all, it was not vague. It was not something that could have applied to anyone. It was very specific information that you certainly wouldn't have had any way to know that. And, I was talking to a friend of mine who was studying for the diaconate this past weekend about that. And, we were going over, well, is there any possible way that she could have found this information online? And I said, no, I mean, these are not things I've discussed anywhere.
Yeah.
Not on social media, not on this broadcast, nothing. These are very personal things. And you knew them. And I told you then, that really, in a way, weirded me out.
I'm sorry.
I'm not going to lie. Because it's rare that I encounter that outside of a specific function of ministry. So
Yeah.
That leads me to the question: is that you in those readings you refer to they as in providing information to you? Who are they?
That's a really great question. That's a really great question. I haven't dived too deep into it. I understand it to be an energy that comes in. So it's not, sometimes it's me and I'm kind of finding that answer within myself and my own space. However, sometimes information does pour into me from elsewhere, and I do actually feel the sensation from that. So, as far as that goes, I like to believe it's like my guides or my guardian angels. I have specifically done a meditation before, and Archangel Michael has come through. So I would like to think that that's what it is. However, at that moment, I'm not going to interrupt and say, wait a minute, who specifically is this? You know, it just has a nice, natural kind of energetic exchange. So I just trust and it works out great.
What's the strangest experience you've had with them?
The strangest experience?
Is there an experience you had that even for you was like, this was weird?
Yes, actually, it has to do with another card reading. I was doing a card reading for one of my viewers, and the information coming to me was information that I didn't grasp with my mind. It was basically talking about astral projection and making portals and using those to kind of clear karma from the family lineage, which I was like, I'm at that time, and even now still, I don't really comprehend that too much. That's not really something I've discovered or dived into. So for me, it was hard to explain what was coming through because it was just another level of my understanding. So to me, it was very strange at that time because how could that come from anywhere else but me? And at the same time, I don't understand. I understand like maybe 5% of what I'm being told, and I'm just kind of hoping I'm relaying it accurately. So that's probably the strangest one.
How long have you been doing the Twitch stream?
The Twitch stream is a little over a year and a half old.
And you usually have, 60 to 100 people in there at a given time?
Give or take, yeah, usually.
Yeah. And has this stream helped you? You feel like it's helped you develop spiritually, or do you feel like it's more of, more of just a job?
Oh no, my stream helps me every day. I always say, even on stream, I don't have an official teacher. My viewers and my community and people who come in my life and show up, they're my teachers. So yes, definitely the stream has helped me grow, and it helps me grow every day. And I see it as growing with people, right? Because you guys, my viewers, I always say you guys, experience that with me. It's a shared experience. So sometimes people will come in and they have a question, and I've dealt with that. And so I have really good advice to share and a perspective to share. And sometimes, I get a card reading that's like, this person is basically creating, astral projected portals to heal their past karma. That's not something I've ever experienced. So I learn a new perspective from that. And everything pours into and out of itself. So
what sort of questions do you get from people coming to you for insight or counsel?
a lot of people a lot of people are interested in spirituality, but they don't know where to start. Like they feel like they need a guideline to get started, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm a very free-form, fluid kind of person. So I would often tell them, I just do. And I feel like spirituality doesn't have to be, you must meditate, 2 times a day and say mantras and have singing bowls. And I think those things are nice and those are tools, right? But I think life in its own way is already spiritual. It's just about opening up to that. And I think people are a little bit taken back by the simplicity of the answer.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think that, in your experience, do the people who frequent your stream or streams like yours, do they come from a similar background as you? That these are people who were looking for answers and might have been, raised in a traditional church and just didn't get them?
I feel, yes. I feel like most people in my community did grow up one way and are kind of shifting themselves into a more spiritual path because they're trying to empower themselves and discover what it means to actually be them instead of being told what they are. So I do feel like a lot of people in the community, definitely resonate with that. But I know there are some who have also been taught since childhood more of the spiritual stuff, so they're already very familiar and practiced. So I feel like it's a mixed bag. There's also those who enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the community and the people, but maybe the spirituality thing is a bit much for them at the moment. So there's definitely a mixed bag of people for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've used the word empowerment quite a bit tonight. What does that mean to you?
Empowered, holding power yourself, being the source of power instead of projecting or allowing that power to be elsewhere outside of you.
So it's a sort of self-sufficiency?
Self-reliance, self-trust, self-belief. Yeah.
It's certainly traditional American values, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think has been the hardest part of the shift that you've experienced in your thinking and your spiritual life? What has been the hardest part for you?
Consistency a bit, because sometimes you start the path and you're not sure, because it doesn't come with a roadmap like other things do, like with I can only go off of how I was grown up. So with like Christianity, you kind of have a roadmap, right? Like the 10 Commandments, and you go to church and you have a communion, and like there's a nice kind of roadmap marker for you to follow. But spirituality is like an open bag and an open book that has nothing kind of predestined. I mean, yes, you can follow certain courses and you can follow certain teachers if you want, but that's not how I did it. So for me, it was finding a consistency that worked for me. The second part would be those that don't get it or think that just because I have kind of expanded the size of my road means that I've kind of dropped the past, and that's not necessarily the case. So that's probably the other thing too, is trying to make that known as well.
Yeah, I think just my experience from within the Christian world, I think there is a sort of deadness, for lack of a better word. I can't think of a better word right now. A sort of deadness, lethargy in rote religiosity. While there is that path that you mentioned set out for Christians, it can lead to just a rote religiosity. It's just, this is what we do. You know, we get up, we go to church on Sunday, we receive communion, we go to Sunday school, we come home. Wednesday, we go to prayer meeting, we come home. That's just, you know, and they think everything's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. It's stagnant. It's stagnant. Yeah.
Right. And I can see that and why people would have a problem with that. And I think it's because the Western Christian tradition has broken continuity with its, again, for lack of a better term, its mystical tradition.
Yeah.
And, you know, it does have one, which, you know, that guide of you know, communion and fellowship with other believers on the path, that's all important. And that doesn't go away, but that's not the sum total of it. There's something to be said for personal experience and exploration of God and all that the divine is, and experiencing the energies of God.
Yeah.
And, you know, trying to get as close to the essence as we can through those energies. And I think Western Christianity has largely failed to do so. And so I can understand why people would, like yourself, would take a different path and find a certain fulfillment elsewhere. Now, did you get any pushback from family in your decisions?
Not really, honestly. But I think a lot of my family has an idea of what I do, but deep down, they don't know parts of it. So I guess we'll wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
But no, my mom is fully aware. Other members of my family who I'm really close with are fully aware of what I do. They're very loving, very supportive. I have yet to come across someone who's really kind of rebutted. So.
Okay. Give me the names of 2 spiritual or religious leaders that have had an influence on you.
2 of them?
Yeah, just 2. I'm sure you could probably name a plethora, but let's just keep it to 2.
Okay. Well, the first one that comes to mind, I'm sure most people will know who this is. It's Infinite Waters, Ralph Smart. He has his YouTube Gold Award for his YouTube videos. He definitely probably is the reason why my life got kickstarted in a new direction. I think I came across one of his YouTube videos by accident, if you want to say that. So definitely Ralph Smart. The second one that I can think of is actually a very close friend of mine who also does Twitch streaming. He's not exactly, he's a leader in his own way, but I don't think most people will know him. His channel is Cosmic Unwind. And I've been able to get really close to Cosmic Unwind through his Twitch channel, and he is doing absolutely magnificent work over there. And he's one that I continually go to on a daily basis. So,
Okay, we've got about 3 minutes here left. Is there anything you want to say to the listeners or to your supporters out there?
I'm so pleased to be here. I've never done a radio show before, so this is really awesome. I'm so grateful to be able to do what I love doing and be accepted for that. I have an absolutely wonderful community who does nothing but love and accept me, and they get that right back in return. So thank you guys for that. I just am really, really grateful.
Great. And if anyone wants to visit Lady Luna's Twitch stream or make contact with her, you can go to the Expedition Truth page on the KCORradio.com website. You'll find her picture there, her lovely smile, and links above that to her social media and her Twitch stream. How often do you stream?
I'm up to 3 days a week now. I'm planning on adding another day of streaming once I hit Twitch partner.
Okay. And you're what times do you usually stream?
It's typically, we start at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we leave, the doors close when we feel fulfilled, like we've completed our mission.
Okay. So indefinite period of time.
Yeah. It's always varies, but it's at least 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, again, thank you for being on the program. Thank you for being kind enough to open up and field some questions that you probably don't get very often.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to provide some challenging questions as well as the surface ones, and you weathered them well.
I love challenge. I love a challenge. Have you tried being self-employed? There's lots of challenges.
Yes. And we both, I'm married, you were married. That's a challenge as well.
Yes.
Mainly for my wife.
Yeah.
She's the one best to deal with the challenge. But anyway, I really appreciate you being with us tonight. And hopefully we can have you back on again sometime and talk some more.
I would love that. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been lovely.
Thank you, everybody. That's it for our expedition tonight. Thanks for listening. God bless.
You've been listening to Expedition Truth, hosted by Jack Ashcraft. It's time to believe in the unbelievable. Live every Thursday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. For more information on Jack Ashcraft, the show, as well as his guests, please visit his website at www.paleoorthodoxy.com. Expedition Truth. Intelligent talk for the discerning mind. Why? Because the truth never fears questions.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51. Wait, that doesn't exist. This